Alright, everyone, welcome in. Going live here. Playing a bit of Uncharted Waters Origins. Got this game here. It's a bit old, but it's based on an older game. This game is actually only came out in 2022. Yeah, I got an electric blanket. It's staying warm. Cold, kind of rainy afternoon, evening in the West Coast, California. But yeah, guys, I'm hoping you are doing well. Wishing everyone the best, and yeah, happy holidays, everyone. Let's get started. So I don't remember what we bought. I don't know if we yeah, I think we have cargo that we need to sell.
Welcome to the market.
Okay. Where are we anyway? I don't even know what port we're in. Okay, we're in Genoa. There we go. Sell that. Buy that. Sell that. Or sell that. Buy that. Okay, cool. There we go. Sell that stuff.
This discovery will prove helpful to our nation.
Alright, cool. Alright, let me because I think there's a city that had here, I'll show you in a second. So the reason I bought this octopus fish, whatever you can sell, it's like a trade good. Reason I bought that is because if you go on the maps, or at least earlier today, here, let's show you up here. Oh, what the fuck is minus 100? Oh, okay, that's annoying. It's actually very irritating to me. Whatever. Look for a place where it has 5 food prices. We'll go up here.
Let's get moving.
I was watching this documentary right now. I'll pop it on the screen because it's kind of interesting. Let me put it in picture so I don't have to have the browser open. All right, let me rewind it to the beginning. It's kind of an interesting video. It just came out like about 13 hours ago. Give me a second, guys. Picture that. All right, there we go. Alright, let's see. I think we want to go over here. Let's see what they have here.
Welcome to the market.
What the fuck is that? I don't know why my scanner just went on. Had that left on. Oh cool, this is a good place to sell this then.
I feel like I've grown a little stronger.
Welcome to our shipyard.
Welcome.
Alright, let me
Are
sail
you
to
preparing
Seville.
to depart now?
And first I want to sail down the coast and discover if there's any cities. Because I think there's probably a city over here by Rome or maybe by Pisa. I don't know, we'll see.
Let's get moving. Let's get moving.
Or we're gonna see if we can discover Rome. I don't know if it's an actual city or if it's just like something to land exploration. Maybe Napoli though is a city. I don't really know. Okay, cool.
It's all thanks to you.
I feel like I've grown a little stronger.
Welcome to the market. It's all thanks to you. setting sail?
I'm gonna turn off this video. I don't want to get like copyright strike. It seems interesting, and I'll leave the link to it. I just don't want to really. I don't know.
Let's get moving.
I wonder where we buy this stupid book thing, or not stupid book thing, but you know, like the holy book. Actually, I bet I know where you buy it. To be fair, maybe we can buy it here. The Quran or whatever it is. I don't know why they're not just calling it the Quran. Maybe that's a different book. Holy Book of Islam. I don't know what that is. But I assumed it was the Quran. Maybe it's not. What I'm talking about though is in the game there is a booming trade for this right here. And I'm not sure really. Oh, wait. Oh, okay, I see. Whatever. If I can't find it here,
Let's get moving.
Look all the way down there for that, but whatever. Let's see.
This discovery will prove helpful to our nation.
Welcome to the market.
Alright, let's see. So let's sail up to Dublin now and sell our stuff there.
Oh, are you setting sail?
I'm not gonna bother with that booming sail port, whatever you want to call it. Because I don't even know where I can find that item.
Let's get moving.
an idea. I don't know if this is where you can get that, but we'll just see something. See if we can. I have an idea on where we might be able to buy that thing. Actually, let me look here real quick.
You need to
'Cause
go
it might be
around.
an item that you sell, not like a cargo.
Let's get moving.
If it's not in the item shop, I think it might be something that we have to pick up from like a specific location. So for example, like one of the holy cities or whatever. I don't really know if that's a thing or not, but yeah.
May you be blessed by the will of God.
No, I'm good.
Welcome.
Welcome to the market.
You know, guys, I think I might play some Civ 7. I really like the idea of playing that real quick. So let me swap the game over, and I'm gonna launch Civ 7 real quick. I'm just gonna sell the items we have at Seville, because I don't want to log off with that in my inventory.
Oh, are you setting sail?
Or maybe we'll just queue up a sailing route to it's here. Okay. Farms, weapons, livestock. Okay. We're gonna go to
Let's get
Seville
moving.
then. No, I want to play this for a bit longer, I think. I might swap over to hold on. I'm busy. Hold on. My room. Sorry about that. Just family member popped in my room saying goodnight. They we're not having like anyone over until for Christmas until like later, so they were just saying hi. I don't know if they were really saying hi, but they were just like telling me something. But yeah, it's kind of beside the point. But yeah. So let's see something. What we're doing. I think we're gonna bring some supplies over to Santo Domingo. So let's do that.
Let's get moving.
All right, cool. Give me one quick minute, guys. I gotta do something real quick. I'll be on PC for a second. I just gotta grab something.
I feel like I've grown a little stronger.
responsible and pay it off in full so you can enjoy the points without running up a balance. The baby boomers have become the wealthiest and most influential generation in history. Even today, in their twilight years, they hold over 50% of the nation's wealth despite only making up 20% of the population. They are also clinging on to power longer than anybody else has before, turning everything from
Yeah, I
local
accidentally
city councils to the Senate
I muted
into
my mic,
glorified retirement villages.
and I had to go AFK
It was
to
a
grab
unique
something
combination of
downstairs,
circumstances and
grab a
conditions
snack, and
that
then
allowed the baby boomers to get this wealthy and hold on to that wealth for so long. But the one condition
had
that
to
they
do
can't
something real
influence
quick
is that they are
for my
all
fam.
dying. The youngest baby boomers are now 62 years old, which means on average, this generation is now straddling America's life expectancy. Now, as grim as it sounds, a lot of people are almost excited about this, because it means for the first time in decades, everybody else will get a share of some of that wealth and influence.
Borders.
Unfortunately, the rise and
Welcome
fall of
to
the
the
baby boomers
market.
is not going to be quite that simple. And realistically, this great transfer might end up making a lot of these intergenerational inequities even worse.
There's uncertainty surrounding how much wealth baby boomers will be able to hand down to the next generation. The cost of assisted living and medical expenses
Welcome to the
significantly
market.
defeat the nest egg that boomers have prepared.
Baby boomers and empty nesters are staying put in their big family homes because of a lack of incentives to downsize.
This generational transfer of wealth is coming as baby boomers move out of the workforce and millennials move in.
More than 4 million baby boomers will hit 80 in the next 5 years, and occupancy at senior living communities is hitting new highs.
Biden would be 86 by the end of a second 4-year term, while Trump by 2028.
That transaction and
Learning is the joy of life.
you guys, I feel like people who don't use AI are gonna get left behind like super hard on like learning how to do stuff. Because I swear I've learned like so many different like random skills since like starting on just like random projects I've been working on since I got into AI and using it. It's kind of cool.
The average person living in the world today is on average ruled over by someone 40 years older than that. And it all happened because
you here
of
to pick
few
up a new
small
request?
demographic changes. So how the fuck did old people take over the world?
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. You got big President Putin.
They say a wall is for evil, but so is a wheel. A wheel is older than a wall.
And a
Huh.
string of
Are you setting sail?
Totally being treated fairly. Charlie? Charlie, I'm so used to it.
Just say it.
Up until 2020, baby boomers were the largest generation in America by a significant margin. And as they moved through their lives, they became a significant and highly politically active voting bloc that could single-handedly dictate the policies of the government.
See what's still going on
They
over
could vote
here.
for free education and strong social
Okay,
support.
cool, it's still
When they
going on.
started entering the workforce, they voted for worker protections, affordable housing, and policies to help raise children. When they got a little bit further in their careers, they owned their homes,
Let's get moving.
taxes, good investment returns, and retirement opportunities. The inconvenient side effect was that meant worker protections, free education, and affordable housing became less of a priority for everybody else that came after them. David Willits, who is currently a member of the British House of Lords, first popularized this idea in his book, The Pinch, How Baby Boomers Took Their Children's Fortune. Willits is a politician, demographer, and a baby boomer himself, so his book is definitely worth checking out, so I will leave a link to it in the description. But the thing is, the baby boom wasn't enough to get us to where we are today all by itself. Human populations have boomed and bust throughout our entire history. Plagues, wars, famines, and natural disasters have made some generations bigger than others for thousands of years, and never before has so much power been held in the hands of the elderly. In the past, being part of a large generational cohort would actually be a disadvantage because if you had more peers, that means more competition for resources and jobs. So there is something more going on here. Baby boomers and the silent generation were the largest cohort of their time period. But that time period just so happened to be the most intense period of wealth creation in human history. After the Second World War, widespread industrialization, the automation of domestic chores, women entering the workforce, the adoption of global trade and modern finance made global, and more specifically, American productivity go fucking parabolic. The world is hundreds of times wealthier today than it was in the 1950s, and baby boomers have been able to capitalize on that for their entire lives with their heavy sway in politics. Having policy tailor-made to suit their needs in their specific stage of life during the largest creation of wealth ever allowed baby boomers to amass the largest generational fortune in history. And as they grow older, that wealth has allowed them to turn that wealth into even more influence. But eventually, that power will be lost, making way for the next generation in line. Even if they don't get this seats willingly, there is always the inevitability of death to even the playing field, right? Well, it's time to learn how many words to find out why the world is suddenly run by old people, and why it's probably never going to get any better. This week's video is sponsored by Built, and if you were paying rent every month without earning anything back, this is for you. Built is a loyalty program for renters that lets you earn points on your monthly rent payments no matter where you live. Those points can be redeemed for travel with major airline and hotel partners, with rides, Amazon.com purchases, fitness classes, even member-only experience rewards. Day spending, which makes earning off Google, but they were all into turning it within 6 months of one another in the year 1946. Now, with such a small sample size and a healthy mix of selection bias, coincidences like this do happen. But people like Malcolm Gladwell have pointed out that this statistical anomaly demonstrates the power of being born in the right time. His book Outliers is one we have referenced on the channel before, and is also definitely worth a read because it provides a lot of insights into how a small bit of luck can cause fundamental differences in outcomes. For boomers, it was a perfect combination of being exposed to new technologies that would go on to change the world and create some of the most valuable businesses in history, and not having that much competition either. This wasn't just true for founding tech companies and ruling the free world.
What the
either.
fuck does an ant on my plate?
The right place at the
It's
right
annoying.
time has helped the oldest people in the world today build up wealth in smaller but arguably more important ways as well. The most obvious factor is housing. Homes in America have never been more unaffordable compared to household incomes, and older generations that have had decades to build up equity in their home, or maybe even some investment properties, are benefiting from this home price appreciation, instead of being crushed by it. Even accounting for the higher interest rates older generations put on the mortgages, their home ownership rate was much higher than the generations that came after them because the barriers to entry for home ownership were much lower. Today, the gerontocracy is also working to secure that advantage in a slightly
That's a good
less
phrase,
obvious way.
gerontocracy, because that's basically what it is. Old people fucking ruling over the young.
Now, it's not quite Congress numbers just yet, but remember that city council is often seen as the first step in a political career. So for every 20-something hotshot, there is a real-life Councilman Milton.
Councilman Milton was first elected as a city councilor in 1948 as a member of the Dixiecrat Party. Their platform? De-integrate baseball.
City councils don't hold the levers of global power like Congress does, but your local elected representatives probably have more influence over your life than the big dogs in Washington. In most municipalities across the country, they include schooling, local amenities, and most importantly, zoning. These people have the power to radically influence home prices in their cities by allowing for higher density housing or by opening up new areas for development, but across the country, they choose not to. Now, even if the people sitting on these councils are spring chickens compared to other areas of government, the people actually engage with them are not. According to the National Civic League, only 15 to 27% of Americans vote in local elections, and of those who do, elderly homeowners are massively overrepresented. According to the same report, those 65 and above are 7 times more likely to vote in local elections than voters aged 18 to 34. Even local politicians need to listen to their voters. Demographically, based on the people who watch these videos, almost none of you would know who sits on your city council, or even what their policies are, which is a shame because they wield an incredible amount of power, and they are where average people have the best chance of making a real difference. If you have genuinely ever been to a city council meeting or even voted in a local election, comment below and I will take your word for it and bestow you with a useless heart emoji. At least until I get tired and stop reading the comments. Anyway, elderly people have voted for people who will keep their homes valuable, which tends to be more elderly people helping to cement the gerontocracy from the ground floor. So, elderly people were influential at the right time to get rich, and then they use that wealth to buy even more influence. It's a pretty simple cycle, but there is still one thing that doesn't quite add up. There are countries beyond the Great Gulf of America that didn't strike it rich in the second half of the 20th century. They're enough lives, and even if they were from a country where they could vote, they wouldn't be influencing the economy of a massively wealthy country, keeping it still relatively take away their basic farm. This is a broad generalization, of course, but it's hard to overstate just how fortunate the USA has been over the last 70 years. There is a graph that is honestly kind of haunting. This is life expectancy at birth for the average global citizen over the last 100 years. There are two noticeable dips, one small one which was caused by COVID-19, and this much larger one from 60 years ago. You might think this was from World War II, but those numbers aren't actually captured on this graph because records were too unreliable from back then. This 2-year global dip in life expectancy was caused exclusively by China's Great Leap Forward, an economic plan that was so bad it caused mass starvation and so many casualties it noticeably moved global averages. If American boomers were in the right place at the right time, this was the exact opposite of that. Instead of going on to found a tech company, you would be lucky to make it to your first birthday. The point here is that even still, China is today largely ruled by elderly people. And that's because of the final and most crucial ingredient, inequality. Baby boomers were not only the wealthiest generation in history, they were also the most unequal. Now, before we all go and seize the means of production, it's important to remember that a lot of this inequality was caused by the rich getting
I need to have more napkins in here, dude.
I
swear, when I have this stuff, this random food stuff on my desk,
but the gap between rich and poor grew much more as people built fortunes previously impossible.
and it's not just because it's on my desk, it's because like my beard, I swear, like having the big beard like I do, you get random like food in your beard, or mostly in my mustache, but yeah, unk as fuck, but whatever.
Surprisingly, involved making themselves and their close comrades wealthy before anybody else. In fact, even in America, wealth is a big decider of even being around to rule at all. Average life expectancy is way up, and it's continuing to rise, but it's mainly been caused by drops in mortality and increases in the lifespan of wealthy people. According to a study published by the National Library of Medicine, the gap in life expectancy between the poorest 1% and the richest 1% was more than 14 years. That's greater than the difference in life expectancy between America and Afghanistan. The study also found that this gap was widening as health technology, diet, and lifestyle advances were resulting in wealthy people living longer, while most of the population was...
Yeah, I think I'm gonna swap over to Civilization 7 in a bit. We might do that tomorrow, I don't know. But I'm gonna be up on live for a bit tonight.
The rapid increase in life expectancy has meant that
So we'll see.
into these positions of power, they are sticking around a lot longer than they normally would have. And if nobody is moving out of these positions, it makes it harder for younger people to move into them. Now, that's most obvious in photos like this, but it's probably an even more serious problem for regular workers around the world who can't move up in the corporate ladder because senior positions are packed with rusted-on executives. Older workers know that it's a lot harder for them to find a new job with a new company, and it's also a lot harder for them to lose their job in the first place. In America, age is a protected class that can't be discriminated against, but only for old people. The law only protects people over the age of 40. Young people are fair game. This has contributed to a trend in the job market where the only way to really increase your position and compensation is to job hop. Because even if companies wanted to reward staff loyalty, most of those benefits would go to the boomers. Now, to be fair, some of these people are extremely competent. A decades-long career will give people a lot of valuable experience, valuable connections, and a valuable reputation.
Connections.
What's more is that the old gripe about old bosses making 3 times your salary while being unable to work their emails is still true in certain circumstances. But even really old people today have been exposed to technology for most of their careers now, so they are not as behind as the elderly people from a decade ago. And none of this should matter anyway.
Alright, there we go.
Because even if old people
Just
do
finishing
rule
that
the
off.
world, eventually we will be those old people, right? Wrong. First off, it's not ideal to have a system where people are just willing to get old enough to finally get some power, and this shift is already happening. The demographic conditions that made this possible in the first place means that as the current rulers die, they are likely to be replaced with much younger candidates. Elderly people have a lot of tools to cling on to power, but as their poorer peers die off, they are losing their demographic might. This hasn't impacted authoritarian states, because once those people gain power, the will of the people isn't going to compel them to...
Let's get moving.
But in for the first time in decades, democratically elected leaders around the world actually got younger. This was helped by the fact that almost all incumbent leaders have been fully elected, and opposition leaders are generally younger. But it also
Smooth sailing.
voters having more influence over who represents them. So, if you are 40-something waiting to inherit the world, the bad news is that, just like the rest of your life, you are probably going to be skipped over. But the good news is that might be a small price to pay to unseat the gerontocracy. The exception to this global trend was here in America. Now, there is one place where power has been accumulated in the hands of the elderly faster
Welcome
than ever.
to the
It's
market.
corporate boards for well-connected people with friends in right places. It's the ultimate retirement gig. In the coming decades, the wealthiest generation in history will die. It's an unfortunate, albeit inevitable fact of life. But baby boomers will eventually go extinct, and they will pass down over $90 trillion to the next generation within America alone. This much money could fix a lot of problems like student debt, unaffordable housing, inadequate retirement savings, and record credit card debt. But don't get too excited just yet.
This discovery will prove helpful to our nation.
Illusion, and it could actually just end up making things worse.
This is a setup, a warning of the ugliness to come. The greatest wealth transfer in history is here with familiar, rich
transfer
winners.
of wealth is underway. As we speak, baby boomers are leaving an estimated $70 trillion to millennial and Gen X heirs.
Baby boomers are the wealthiest generation in history. In America, they control.
Oh, you know, I might hop off, guys. I'm gonna yeah, I'm not gonna like hop off the live, but I'm probably gonna swap games. Actually, maybe we'll want to see what we can auction off.
Of $12 trillion is due to what you really define as wealth, and that slight difference in opinion is more than the collective wealth of half the planet. Regardless of the exact methodology used to calculate generational wealth, they all agree on one thing. Baby boomers are the kings, and everybody else has been holding on to whatever is left over. That concentration of wealth has, according to many, come at the expense of younger generations who are now poorer than their parents were at the same age. So that means when life finds a way and this wealth is passed down, it should fix these generational issues, right? Wrong. Counting on an inheritance to fix your own personal finances is a terrible idea. According to a survey by the investment intelligence firm Natixis, 70% of young people expect to get an inheritance, but only 40% of their parents actually plan on leaving one. This means individually, 30% of the young adult population is going to have their financial plans ruined late in their careers when there isn't much time left to make up for it. Okay, so waiting on an inheritance is a dumb thing to do as an individual. But counting on the great wealth transfer globally is just plain irresponsible for 3 simple reasons. The first is that not all wealth is created equal. $7.4 trillion of the $90 trillion total are held in private businesses, according to data from the Fed. Small operations like HVAC, roofing, machining, mortgage brokering, medical practices, and repair businesses number in the millions across America, but putting a value on them can be extremely tricky. The Fed took estimated EBITDA for these companies, which takes the earnings of a business before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, and then multiplies that by an industry standard valuation multiple. If you own a small business that makes $200,000 per year before these other costs, and you operate in an industry like machinery with an industry EBITDA multiple value of 5, then congratulations. Your business is worth $1 million.
Alright, let me log off now. And we're gonna swap it over to I don't know if I want to play EU5 or Civ 7. I kind of want to play EU5. I have a campaign I was running on. Maybe we'll see if we can get the controller working. I don't. It wasn't working yesterday when I tried pairing it with Bluetooth. Might work now. Actually, I think it is.
By doctors that have had time to get the experience, clientele, and capital necessary to go into business for themselves. If they retire or die, their business doesn't have any value to their children unless they themselves are also doctors in the same field of medicine, an exceedingly rare occurrence.
This dude just literally re-released his old video.
Will close their doors before they can be passed
Or this
down to younger
section of it.
generations. Now, this is a bigger problem than some trust fund babies not getting handed a free business. If these businesses disappear, it will not only take their services out of the market, it will also stop new entrants into the job market from getting apprenticeships to learn the trades that are already in desperately short supply. But in crisis comes opportunity. The first group that is actually benefiting from the great
Come
wealth
on.
transfer are
Connect.
investment firms that are buying up these small firms for pennies on the dollar
Disconnect
from
the batteries.
owner-operators who just want a bit of extra cash before they retire. In a process called rolling up, private equity firms are buying dozens of small businesses and then merging them into one more efficient business that can hire cheaper employees to service the clients of all
Hold on,
their
I wonder if it's
businesses. Sites like BizBuySell,
set up
BizQuest, and BusinessBroker.net have become the eBay for small businesses, largely listing businesses owned by retiring baby boomers who are hoping to get something rather than just shutting them down.
Oh, you know, I think I have the
There is
batteries
one
in
other
backwards.
problem with all this private business wealth too. The 50 largest private companies in America are all almost exclusively owned by baby boomers. Without the financials of these private companies, putting an accurate value on them is almost impossible. But based on comparables, these top 50 are collectively worth an estimated $2 trillion,
Alright, let's see if it works now.
conservatively. So, almost half of the wealth in this asset class is just 50 companies. Unless your family name is Bloomberg, Mars, or Coke, the value of the boomers' private companies is not something that is going to impact your life. But that's only one small part of the great wealth transfer. Boomers reportedly own $16.9 trillion in durables and other assets ranging from rusty old home appliances to motor yachts. Some of these goods could be sold by a beneficiary, but a lot of this paper wealth is, in reality, going to end up being a financial burden to maintain if it's not just simply disposed of. Rounding out the wealth that might not do much good to the next generation, pension plans have been calculated on what they
I'm
were
sorry,
worth
but
for
I
boomers
don't want no
themselves
grandma's
based on
stack
assessing
of
how much money
trash
someone
that
would need
she
to replace
wrapped
that
up in
cash flow.
newspapers.
A
Like
pension that pays out
maybe
$50,000
something or
a
other,
year to
but
a
like
retiree could have an
most of it I
estimated
don't
future
want.
value of $1
Sorry.
million. But that doesn't
I don't
mean
think
that a
anyone wants most of
beneficiary
it.
is going to receive $1 million
Just a
when
lot
the
of
parents
work
die.
to get rid of.
So with that, the great wealth transfer has already been cut in half. But that still leaves $40 trillion in cash, equities, and most importantly, housing that is going to be passed down in the coming years, and that's gonna fix a few things, right? Baby boomers' second largest asset class is their homes and investment properties. The generation owns almost as much real estate as the Generation X and Millennials combined, and controlling this much of the market has caused problems for everybody else. According to a survey conducted by the real estate firm Redfin, about half of homeowners and renters said they have periodically struggled this year to afford their mortgage payment or rent as rates have increased and have been passed along to the people on the bottom of the housing ladder. The survey also found that to keep up with payments, some homeowners and renters had resorted to selling their belongings, picking up overtime shifts, canceling vacations, working a second job, and even skipping meals to keep up with their payments. Housing has simply become a major expense for everyone, except for those who have had the opportunity to purchase a home when they were affordable and the time to pay their mortgage off in full. The great wealth transfer of housing on the surface looks like a ghoulish, albeit pragmatic solution to this problem for two simple reasons. The first is that it could provide millions of people with a house of their own to live in. The second reason is that even if you receive a home
I don't
as
know
an
why
inheritance
this
that you
thing
don't
isn't
want to live in,
connecting.
you can just sell it, which is good for you and good for the market because it provides supply at a time when almost nobody wants to sell their home. So, what's the problem then? Well, again, less housing than you would expect is actually going to be passed down. A study published by the National Library of Medicine has found that a majority of lifetime healthcare costs for the average person happens after they turn 65. This is an immediate problem because according to a study by the health research organization KFF, only half of people over 65 have anything saved to pay for healthcare costs in retirement, and the overwhelming majority of adults won't have enough money to pay for senior living care, which is now estimated to be over $100,000 per year. Medicare, which is the government-provided health insurance program for seniors, does not support senior living. So, many seniors will add a Medicare Advantage plan, which is an additional out-of-pocket expense. So, housing will be handed down, but it's primarily going to be handed down to reverse mortgage companies
Let me
or
change the
sold to
game.
cover spiraling senior living costs. According to Freddie Mac, the total value of cash-out refinances and second mortgages has already doubled since 2019, as even people who do own their own home have trouble keeping up. So far, the great wealth transfer is going to consolidate small businesses, financialize homes even further, drive up medical costs, strain government services, and increase household debt. But there is still hope. There is one asset class left, and it's the biggest of them all. Baby boomers hold on to more equities and fixed income securities like stocks and bonds than millennials have between all of their assets combined. But when you think about it, that doesn't really make sense. For most people, their biggest asset is their home. Participation in the stock market is at record highs thanks to investment vehicles like 401ks and IRAs, as well as technologies that make investing easier like cheap online brokerages. According to the Fed survey of consumer finances, 58%
Alright, I'm
of
gonna
households
play
own
our
stock in
Hawaii campaign I
2023,
had going.
which is a good thing.
I
But
got all the
more
way
than
to the year
65% of
1436 in
households
this
that own
one.
their own home. Part of
I
this
hadn't
can be
really played
explained
it
by
that
people
much
buying stocks because they
beyond
simply
that,
can't
and
afford
that's the
housing.
furthest I've gotten in
That's
any
only a
campaign
minor factor.
without
This
dying.
class
But
of assets will
yeah.
actually be handed down in the Great Wealth Transfer, but it doesn't belong to normal people. Despite record participation in the market, the richest 10% of Americans now own 93% of stocks. The bottom 50% of Americans own just 1%. Most shockingly of all, though, the stock market inequality is even more severe amongst baby boomers. Just Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Steve Ballmer, Larry Ellison, Michael Dell, Jensen Huang, and the 3 surviving Walmart heirs own roughly $1.9 trillion worth of stocks, or 10% of all the equities within their generation. The remaining 70 million baby boomers own the 90% that these 10 people have left behind. The good news for the people in line to inherit a majority of this wealth is that they won't need to wait for it. A New York Times article detailing the way that this wealth is being transferred has found that most of the advantages of the Great Wealth Transfer have already been handed to the people in line to receive it. A growing trend of...
Alright, so in this game we had we started as Hawaii, Big Island, and we kind of developed our island a bit, built some stuff in these two, boosted up the GDP of the food, or the not GDP, it's called RGO.
their own children.
Yeah,
According to a survey
I mean,
from the UK, nearly 80% of children
I need
enrolled in
to
the country's
boost
private
up the
schools
RGOs
had
on
at
the
least
wood
part of
though.
their fees paid for by their grandparents.
But to do
If
that,
you
I
are
had
in a
to build up
financial
the base
situation where you
economy,
need the Great Wealth
because there's
Transfer
no
to help you
other
out,
source
the
of
Great Wealth
tools or
Transfer
lumber in our
probably isn't
market
going to help you.
other than us.
This year, a record number of people will be turning 65.
So I built
and
this
next
right
year,
here,
that
this
record will be
weaponsmith.
broken again. We have been warned
Let's
about
see.
aging populations for decades now, and now it's actually happening. Unfortunately, the
Or sorry,
savings
not
retirement
weaponsmith,
gap for millions of households is wider than it has ever been,
thing.
and people's assets have been eaten up by inflation, bad investments, and good old-fashioned financial illiteracy.
Once we
Over
can
20
produce iron,
the
the
cost
rules
have
of
no
fish.
at all.
But
That
right now
isn't
we can't
stopping
build
them.
iron because we don't
They're
use
also able to afford to retire. What does this mean for everybody else?
Maybe their homes, either because they're moving to centers or they're just no longer living.
In the last 10 years, Milwaukee County saw a 22% increase of older residents.
Those in their 50s are generally at peak earning potential, yet more than half worry they'll run out of money in retirement.
Is this the retirement that you imagine?
No.
Earlier this year, the Retirement Income Institute released a commission study on retirement savings. And I can't
Oh, I forgot to
overemphasize
change
how much I
the
love
input
name
for the
of this
game.
report.
Hold on, again,
Peak Boomers Impact Study found that between this year and 2030, 30 million Americans will retire, representing almost a fifth of the total labor force.
All right,
The
oops,
study focused
there we go.
primarily on how those retirees plan to fund their retirement, and the results were grim. More than half of the study group had less than $250,000 in assets, including their home if they had one. And that group would rely on Social Security as their primary
All right, there we go. I think we got it running.
income in retirement. Now, this study was conducted by independent researchers, but it was funded by a group that wants to sell annuities to people planning their retirement. So some of their recommendations need to be taken with more than a bucket of salt. However, the study group of retirees getting too old to work are just one part of the larger group deciding that right now is a pretty good time to retire. A study by Pew Research has found that the largest wave of retirement has already happened, as people step back from the workforce during COVID, assisted by a combination of record low interest rates, generous stimulus measures, redundancy packages, record asset prices, and a general motivation to not go back into a plague-infested office. This is far from a uniquely American trend. In fact, we are actually behind a lot of countries that are both older than us and have better support systems for people in their old age. On top of hitting peak boomer, there are less typical retirees. A growing number of independently wealthy young people who are pursuing financial independence where investment returns from their assets are enough to fund their lifestyle indefinitely And on the other end of the spectrum, there are people just giving up on working and are scraping by on family support, government assistance, or jobs in the informal economy. These people aren't the typical demographic of retirees, but they are still adding to the record trend, and they are all major financial in slightly different ways. The first way is that they make entirely rational financial decisions, whether it's buying a card debt to buy goods, or just not understanding the importance of investing, shortage of people doing really dumb things with their money. You are a channel that gives weekly depressing lectures on the state of the financial system, business trends, and the economy. So all of you are probably far more financially literate than the average person. And even then, you have probably made some dumb money mistakes. People decide fairly rationally. More people are just deciding that if they are going to be screwed financially in their old age, they would at least like to enjoy a few years while they still have their health and worry about finances while old for them. Layoffs nationwide have hit according to a survey conducted by the Trans-American for Retirement Studies, most Americans are 5 years earlier than they expect. The reality is giving people fewer years to recover, and this almost entirely to a
I'm gonna close this video because it's making me laugh. Minimize picture in picture. Actually, you know what, guys? I might go to bed. I'll probably go live on EU4 tomorrow. And then probably we'll do some Civ 7 after we hop off EU4 or EU5. I keep saying EU4. Dude, that's gonna take me ages to get done saying EU4 instead of EU5. But yeah. Alright guys, best wishes. Hope everyone's having a great holiday season. Whether you're, whatever your religion, I don't really care. It's not my business. I just wish you a great winter, whatever you want to call it. Christmas, Hanukkah, Jewish, whatever it is. Or what's this other one? Kwanzaa? I don't know. I know there's a lot of them in this time of year. But anyways, guys, I wish everyone the best. Peace out, boys. Bye for now.